ideas about how humanity is at a fork in the road, where we're now at the point where we decide if we're going to be free or are we going to be automaton robots, microchipped and manipulated mentally, emotionally and physically from afar, because that's what we're looking at now.
Total control.
Total control, that's the idea. And it's no good, well, I'll think about it. We don't have the time to think about it. We've got to get on with it now. Are we going to stand up and see what's happening and say enough? Or are we just going to go on as we are, in denial, and think that it's something's going to come out of it that will be okay in the end? It won't, unless we get involved. And this situation we're facing now, with the blatant, like you say, in-your-face abuse of humanity by the banking system, and the in-your-face control that's happening now at places like airports.
It's almost provocation. Provoking response.
I tell you what they do, mate. I tell you what they do, John. They push you up to a point, and they see if there's resistance. If there's no resistance, they push further. If there's no resistance, they push further. If we, my goodness me, if we had started as a human race resisting further back down this sequence, we wouldn't be where we are now. So, what are we going to do, Are we going to start resisting now? Or are we going to start resisting when everyone's microchipped and your children are microchipped at birth, and there's in effect surveillance cameras in your home? Some police people are already saying that. Mm-hmm. They want surveillance cameras in the homes of people who are suspect.
Safety.
Oh, yeah. So, are we going to do it then? Are we going to do it when the state takes your children away and say that we control the upbringing of your child and not you? Because that's where they want to go. Mm-hmm. And more children are being taken from their families by social services for absolutely spurious, outrageous means. Loving parents having their children taken away and given to adoption by the state, for the most extraordinary reasons. So extraordinary, it's obviously planned and it's obviously calculated. And when you look at the books of people like that big-time insider of the Fabian Society, one of these major secret societies in the web, Aldous Huxley, who wrote that book in 1932, it was published in 1932, called Brave New World, in which he was talking about exactly this. The state taking over from parents, controlling the upbringing of children, indeed in the end cloning the children in various batches in relation to how they were going to serve society through their lives, like some genetic division at birth, similar to the system they've had in India for so long.
It's slavery in a
way. Where the caste that you're born into dictates what you can do in your life.
The hierarchy.
Well, yeah, the hierarchy. I mean, in Brave New World, basically, he was talking about the genetic caste system where you were cloned to be to serve society in a certain way. If you were one of the lower clone classes, then you were just basically in the lower caste of humanity, and you were just a vermin, basically.
It's
just
your karma, face it.
Yeah, all that stuff. Well, this is what we're looking at, unless we resist en masse now. And even today, and the awakening compared with when I started out 20 years ago is extraordinary in the speed that it's happening now. But it's still a fragmented awakening in the sense that people are waking up to a certain level of it, and other people are waking up to a higher level of it, because the rabbit hole goes very deep and there's so many dots to connect before we can really understand what's actually fully behind all this. And we need to move into another stage of this awakening now.
Synchronized, coherence.
Well, we need to move from a situation we largely have now, where the vast majority of people who have woken to the fact that the world is controlled by a few people, who have awoken to some of the techniques of manipulation and the goals of where this conspiracy wants to go. And that stage is of, instead of being ignorant of how the world was being manipulated to a certain outcome, as they were before, they've awoken to how it basically works. And so now, instead of their prison being built around them without them seeing it was a prison,
Holding the bars themselves.
now they've reached a point of awareness where they can now consciously watch their prison being built. And you hear people saying, "Well, what do you think the next move's going to be?" and then something happens. "I told you they were going to do that next." Well,
Just step out.
do we think we're going to change it just by reaching a point where we can now observe consciously our own prison being created? Of course not. We need to move to the next stage, which is crossing the street and impacting upon the prison itself. And the key to this is numbers. When you look at the number of people in full awareness who are behind this conspiracy, it's a tiny fraction compared with the number of people in the target population.
Critical mass.
We're talking a few thousand compared with billions. The few thousand is a massively bigger figure than you get at the core, where you're probably looking at a few hundred, and at the real core you could probably number it in tens of people.
Those 13 families.
Yeah, and when you look at that, the answer is clear. The few, the tiny few, can only control the vast, vast majority. When A, the vast majority are in ignorance of how they're being manipulated and to what end, and two, when they become aware to an extent and still do nothing about it. You know,
Compliance.
and when we stop complying, when we stop acquiescing with our own enslavement, and we come together in some kind of numbers, it doesn't take everyone in the world, but when we come together in some kind of numbers across the so-called political spectrum, total illusion, total manufacture, when we come together across the religious divisions, across the income bracket divisions, across the cultural divisions, and the race divisions, when we come together and realize they're all illusions, they're just experiences, they're not who we are. And we come together in some kind of unity of purpose, which is we're not complying or acquiescing anymore with our own enslavement. When people come to the understanding that someone else's injustice, if it's not addressed, is eventually going to become their injustice. Well, it's not my problem. No, I can't have nothing to do with me. Well, you say that, and eventually the compounding will come, and it will be your problem. And then you're going to say, well, who's going to help me? Well, who did you help when it was someone else's problem? So these things this selfishness, this self-obsession needs to go, so that we come together in mutual support and in mutual unity behind something that affects us all, our children and our grandchildren, which is the most basic of human freedoms, is being eroded by the day. When we do that, it's basically over. Because the system can only control the target population when the target population is compliant to that control. And also, there's so few numbers in those in full awareness of what they're doing that they have to recruit from the target population for their people in uniform, enforcement, and their dark suit administrators to administer the system. They have to recruit from the target population to impose the agenda of the few on the target population. This is why this is terrified of humanity in any numbers understanding what the game is, how it's played, and what the goal is.
What an irony.
Because it's come down that once we stop complying, it's all over. And
I have a vision of your last talk here in the right.
yeah,
You had an image of this pyramid, and the people, us the people, the large numbers, are holding that pyramid.
Yeah, that's what
And
we do.
just imagine all those people not holding the pyramid and it collapses. I thought it was a very strong visualization.
Well, that's what we're doing. And you know, like I've said so many times, when people look for the power in a pyramid structure, they look to the top. But the capstone of the pyramid, whether it's a bank, a government, a country, whatever, even literally a pyramid, a stone pyramid, the capstone's only up there because the rest of the pyramid's holding it up there. And where's the vast majority that is absolutely prime and fundamental to the stability of that pyramid? It's at the bottom where it's largest. It's the power is at the bottom of the pyramid, not the top. And we need to shift that dynamics of power and that perception of the dynamics of power to realize that we have the power. And this is why every single expression of this dictatorship, whatever it has been through what we call history, have always focused on dividing and ruling, dividing so they can rule the target population. And we're divided through religion, through race, through income bracket, through culture, through the sense of national identity, and all that stuff. And when we come, there's nothing wrong with having a sense of national identity. It's an experience. You know, I come from Britain, but that's my experience. That's not who I am. And so it's great to experience and enjoy the diversity of different cultures and countries and what have you. But their experiences, and if we allow them to divide us, like, I'm better than you because I've got a white body, I'm better than you, I've got a black body, I'm better than you, I'm from China, all this stuff, all this, no, I'm better than you, I'm a Muslim, I'm better than you, I'm a Christian, all this rubbish, we stop that, then we can come together in some kind of unity and bring this to an end.
They fear us united because
They fear us uniting, that's why they spend 24/7 disuniting us.
So, but it's important what you're saying, because we need, if I can state it like this, we need real solidarity as a consciousness movement, not as a political movement, because that's all engineered anyway. You like I always said, caught in the trap. So we need to, not to disempower those power structures, but to empower ourselves again, so we can go around those structures, right?
Yeah, my son Gareth, who's a singer-songwriter, he was telling me yesterday that he's just done an interview for a radio station in Britain, and the interviewer said to him that he was political. You know, he was like, you know, you're like a political singer or whatever. And the point is missed. It's not that he's political. It's not that it's about bringing an end to this because of political means. You're absolutely right. Politics is going to change nothing. Politics is there to stop things positively changing for the population in general. It's not about being political, it's about being free. It's about freedom and exposing that which wishes to take the freedom away and encouraging people to express their freedom, thus cease to acquiesce with that which seeks to imprison them and delete their freedom. So it's nothing to do with being political, it's to do with being free and bringing an end to that which is seeking ever more blatantly to deny us our freedom. And that means individual human action brought together, where individual human action becomes a unity of collective human action. And it's nothing to do with politics.
Without a fight.
Nothing to do with political